Greetings to you all resilient hearts out there, and welcome back to Arise and Shine with me, Dr. Vivian, your guide on Arise and Shine. Today we're venturing into the delicate terrain of trust in relationships. Join me for a captivating exploration filled with real-life narratives, timeless wisdom, and strategies to rebuild the intricate dance of human connection. Our journey commences with a story from the good book. I like to go back to the Bible, and let's start this discussion looking at the story of Joseph and his brothers. If you are not familiar with the story of Joseph and his brothers as recorded in the book of Genesis, it's about Joseph, the 12 sons of Jacob, and Joseph started his early life growing up as one of the youngest kids at home, the 11th out of 12 sons, and telling his brothers, guys, I'm dreaming, He started telling them his dreams, I'm going to be great and this, and they hated him. And they did not just hate him, they wanted to kill him. But for one of the brothers that said, okay, let's just abandon him in a pit. And they abandoned him in a pit and decided to sell him as a slave, and came home and made a story. And their father thought, my son was lost. And just pause and think about it. In a normal realm of things, you would hold these brothers in your heart. You will be angry. Why did they do this? What wrong did I do? I did absolutely nothing to these guys. But Joseph, as the story continues to unfold, grew to a point where he could decide to kill these guys. They deserve death. He could decide to punish them, throw them in jail, and lock them away. But what happens? The story begins to unfold with different layers of forgiveness, of reconciliation, and the journey of rebuilding trust with his brothers. So this lesson really teaches us profound lessons. The story of Joseph and his brothers brings profound stories that can really guide even our modern relationships and how we deal with issues. But let's bring this closer to home. In our world today, we see many members of our community battling with the issues of forgiveness, of reconciliation. One of our community members, Mark, he talked about real ruptured trust within his family. He was at a point where he was just going to give up. But how he managed to navigate the stormy waters of betrayals and rebuild trust was really a journey that was difficult but worth it. So his story is a testament to resilience, grace, and how all this together can really put us on a process of healing, even when trust have been shattered and our belief in people have been shattered. So in the spirit of forgiveness and redemption, let's go back to the good book and look at this young man called, as the Bible calls him, the prodigal son. A powerful story of transformation and rebuilding trust, where we see this young man come home with so much remorse and the willingness to change. He wanted to be anything at home, be a servant, whatever, and he was willing to take any punishment that comes to him, because he knew how he had really betrayed his father's trust. But However, the mercy, the forgiveness of the Father met him, that even at the point where he wanted to accept whatever came his way, he received grace, he received mercy, he received forgiveness, he received love, and he received a restoration of a relationship that was totally destroyed. So trust often really faces its hardest test in the aftermath of betrayal. I mean, we've been there. If you've never been there, I've been there several times. And sometimes you ask yourself, do I still trust after all these kinds of betrayals? I mean, when you look at things, different biblical stories, you begin to see the complexity of broken trust and betrayal, and these kinds of incidents really give us insight that can help us navigate and rebuild trust in our own life's path. Because I promise you, if you have not yet been betrayed, I can prophesy you'll be betrayed many times in the future. If you have not yet lost trust, I mean, that is just the reality of human life. People will disappoint you. And the question is, how do you deal with that? How do you deal with that if it's a relationship that needs to be rebuilt? Because let's face it, some relationships might need to actually be broken for the good of the parties involved. If we go back to the good book and we see a story of Paul and Barnabas, and we see that, I mean, it's just about preaching the gospel, and these guys are not in agreement on who should accompany them in terms of assistance. I mean, Barnabas says, let's go with John Mark, and Paul says, no, I can't go with this guy. And the argument becomes really tense, that they decide and say, okay, you go with this other guy and I go with this other guy, and let's continue to preach the gospel. So sometimes it is very important to set healthy boundaries, and it is very important to take steps that can help you build healthy connections. So as we look at the issue of connecting with people, rebuilding trust, it's really an emotional journey. Anyone who has walked the journey of rebuilding trust from hurt, from betrayal, will tell us that it's transformational. It's a courageous journey, but it's a journey that has its own intricate path that helps us to rebuild relationships, that helps us to draw from wisdom of others that have walked this path ahead of us. And this process of healing and rebuilding trust is a profound one, and it's always entangled with challenges, but there is always hope for those that are determined to build relationships, to rebuild trust. So as we begin to close the curtains on this episode, I promise you, talking about trust, talking about rebuilding relationships, we could write a whole book on that. But for the purpose of this podcast, I want to leave you with a spark that will illuminate the path of trust and healing. So when we begin to imagine trust not just as a delicate threat, but as a resilient, necessary tool that we need to grow in forgiveness, to grow in understanding, and the courage to rebuild what has been broken. Because when we talk about rebuilding trust, we basically saying trust has been broken in one way or the other. When we listen to stories like that of Joseph, that of Mark, and many other stories, we see that people emerge from vulnerability and the power of love, and they come out to mend even the most shattered trust. So in the spirit of the prodigal son's return, we witnessed what redemption and how this is possible rebuilding trust, even in a circumstance where someone has actually shattered your whole estate. So let me leave you with a quote from Proverbs chapter 3, from verse 3 to 4. And the Bible says, let's not steadfast love and faithfulness forsake you. Bind them around your neck, write them on the tablet of your heart, so you will find favor and good success in the sight of God and of man. Trust, like love and faithfulness, is a precious jewel that adorns the heart. So as we bid farewell to this episode, I encourage you to share your stories of rebuilding trust, your triumphs, and the strategies that have strengthened your relationships. Subscribe, stay connected, and let's continue to arise and shine together even when it is hard. Until next time, may your relationships be marked by trust, healing, and resilience. Keep shining, resilient, and courageous souls out there.